The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. When the day came for them to be purified as laid down by the law of Moses, the parents of Jesus took him up to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. When they had done everything the law of the Lord required, they went back to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. Meanwhile, the child grew to maturity, and he was filled with wisdom, and God's favour was with him. The Gospel of the Lord. So today we celebrate the feast of the Holy Family of Nazareth. As part of God's plan for the salvation of the world, the Son of God chose to enter into time and human history as part of a family here on earth. And because of this, the family has been forever sanctified and made holy. It's in the family that we learn moral values, that we grow in the virtues, especially love. And it's in the family where the faith is nurtured and developed. And it's also in the family that we discover our purpose in life, what God is calling us to do. Nothing is by chance in God's divine will. And so the family is absolutely central to God's plan for the salvation of the world. The family is the building block of society. Where the family is reverenced and protected, society is united and stable. And so this is why the devil attacks the family at every opportunity, because he knows that if he can undermine the family, society will follow suit. And so key to his mission of attacking God and the Church is to strike at the heart of the family. And where better to aim that attack than at Ireland, the country which for centuries and millennia has been the protector of family values and the defender of the faith. But that was the Ireland of yesteryear. The Ireland of today is a very different country. It's an Ireland which prides itself on being modern and progressive, on leading the world in tolerance and acceptance, and of being intellectually superior to previous generations, which they look upon as being simple and naive in their faith and moral values. And so in recent years alone, we've seen a move towards the separation of church and state. But what's more concerning is we've seen our civil laws change to redefine marriage and to allow the killing of babies in the womb of their mother. All of these developments are an attack on the family unity, and where the family is divided, society is divided, and God becomes irrelevant in people's lives. And so attacking the family is key to the devil's plan for leading souls away from God and away from the Church. We only have to look at recent events in our country. Christmas is a time when families come together to celebrate the birth of Christ. Different generations uniting under one roof as a family. Grandparents and grandchildren sharing memories and stories, and going to Mass together as a family to adore the infant King who came to save us. In the lead up to Christmas, our government assured us that restrictions would be eased to allow families to celebrate Christmas together. And so thousands of families all over Ireland were looking forward to being united with their loved ones, many of whom they hadn't seen for months. But then, a couple of days before Christmas, the government pulled the pin on everything, with the result that many family members abroad were left stranded and separated from their loved ones here at home. And in the same breath, they made the decision to close our churches once again to public worship, for the third time in 9 months. However, shops and supermarkets will remain open, as will all non-essential retail outlets. And don't worry, you can still go to the gym or to the swimming pool, or for a game of tennis, or for a round of golf. You just can't go to Mass. This is despite the fact that there is no evidence linking Mass attendance to the spread of COVID-19. In fact, as I've stated here before, the church is the safest place you can be outside of your own home. So the closure of churches has nothing to do with the curtailing of the spread of COVID-19. So what then is the motivation behind closing our churches for public worship? Dr. Ronan Glynn has publicly implied that religion ranks as relatively unimportant in NIFET's decision-making. And that was made perfectly clear on Tuesday last when the government announced that whilst all non-essential retail outlets can remain open, public worship is prohibited. In other words, in the eyes of the current government, religion is less than non-essential. God is less than non-essential. And what is less than non-essential? Things you can discard as useless, worthless, of no consequence. Compare this with England and Northern Ireland, where all non-essential retail has been closed, but churches will remain open for public worship. And in the US, France, Germany, Belgium and Switzerland, successful legal challenges have been mounted against the overly strict limits being placed on religious worship. In each case, judges have ruled that these were disproportionate and unnecessary. Yet here in Ireland, the Church is once again subjected to unjust restrictions, preventing us from celebrating the Mass in public. But they tell us we can still go into the church for private prayer. In other words, we'll tolerate religion as long as you keep it to yourself. But we don't want families, communities and parishes coming together to give worship to Almighty God. If you were in any doubt before this about the agenda behind the current restrictions, then you should be in no doubt now. This government wants to eradicate God from all aspects of society. God who created the universe, God who is the author of all life, and God who entered into this world as a vulnerable baby in order to suffer and die for us on the cross, is deemed as less than non-essential. And what makes this even more shocking is that we, the Church, have allowed this to happen. We've told people it's no longer an obligation to go to Mass on Sundays. We've told people to stay at home and tune into Mass online or on the radio. And we stood by and allowed an atheistic government to introduce draconian and anti-Christian restrictions which are a direct violation of our constitutional right to practice our faith in public. We have reduced the holy sacrifice of the Mass to a non-essential, to a less than non-essential. The Church is entrusted with the care of souls. Our mission is the salvation of souls. There is no mission greater or more essential than that, not even the saving of physical life. The human body is mortal, and so we will all have to face death one day. But the soul is immortal, and therefore there is nothing more important than the salvation of our soul. We cannot be dictated to by an atheistic government which has clearly demonstrated its total indifference to religion, and in particular towards the Catholic Church. A government which appears to be intent on destroying the faith and eradicating God from all aspects of society. But they're fighting a battle they will never win, because we have Christ's guarantee to St. Peter that the gates of the underworld will never prevail against the Church. All those who see the faith as less than non-essential will one day know the truth when they appear before God in judgment. We can only pray that they will see the error of their ways and return to God before it's too late. And it's time that we all stood up and called these draconian and disproportionate restrictions for what they are, an attack on the faith and on our constitutional right to practice our faith in public. We've complied with everything imposed on us by the authorities so far, but there comes a time when we have to say, no, enough is enough. "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not on the side of God, but of men." And so, on this great feast day, we entrust our families and our parishes to the care and protection of the Holy Family of Nazareth, and we ask them to protect our country and the Church from this attack on our faith. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, we love you. Save souls. We now profess our faith in the one true God.